Okay, what's up, everyone? So here I am with Jordan today. Jordan was actually a student when he started building his drop servicing business, and he just recently finished his exams, and he's actually focusing full time on his drop servicing business. One really cool thing that Jordan achieved recently was a $14,000 sale in his drop servicing business, and he's going to be telling us about his journey from getting started all the way up until now and what he's going to be doing in the future. So if you could just introduce yourself a bit more, Jordan, and tell us about what got you into this business and what you've been doing so far.
Yes, like Dylan said, when I started the course, I was a student. And the main reason I started the course was just because obviously as a student, money's hard to come by. And I saw this course on YouTube, jump on this and make some money. That was like my main incentive. But one thing I really liked is I could see it working long term. Because I've seen a lot of ads for things like drop shipping. I didn't really believe in that. I don't see those working long term. Whereas with drop servicing, you're selling videos or Facebook ads. I think those can work really well.
Yeah, so that was basically the main thing for you, was you thought the business model was a bit better than the other things you had seen. And that's what got you to go and check out the webinar and all of that. Cool. And I guess the next thing was, once you actually took that leap, and I was able to convince you that it's a good model to jump into. Once you took that leap and you got into the blueprint, what was your first impression in those first stages?
First thing I did was join the Facebook group, and I went through some of the content. And what I really liked is it was a community of people that they're all doing the course for the same reasons, and everyone motivates each other as well. One thing I like is you can ask, if you have questions or there's something you're stuck on, you can just ask anyone. That's one thing I did when I first started. I went through the Facebook group and I just picked people I thought, hey, they're doing well. I'm going to ask them what works well and what I need to do to be successful like them. So just having people there that I can learn from was really helpful for me when I first started.
Awesome. And it's cool as well because, you started out asking other people questions, but these days you've got people actually reaching out to you and asking questions, and you still actually help all the beginners coming in, so you can kind of, empathize with them because they're beginning like you were beginning, and you're still down to earth enough to help them, even though you're kind of a veteran almost now. You haven't really, how long have you been in the group now, Jordan?
About a year and 2 months now.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, definitely a veteran of the group, though the group is still pretty young, so that's really cool. And did you go through the entire course? Like, have you watched all of the videos in it yet?
Yeah, so when I first started, I wanted to get everything set up, and then I slowly went back through the full 7-week course just to make sure I'd have everything done, and so I had a good foundation to work, because I know that's really important when building a business. I really liked the course and the modules and how it's laid out. Everything was super detailed as well and easy to follow. One thing I liked is once you watch the videos, there's action steps. So you're not just watching the videos and like thinking, what do I do now? You've got your action steps to follow. And if you follow them correctly, then you'll do well.
Yeah, that's it. At the end of the day, just taking action with the information that's there, and also getting help when you need it in the group. So that's really cool. And you've been sharing a lot of inspiration recently in terms of the sales that you've been getting. So I want to talk more about that. Maybe you could tell us about kind of the journey from, starting the business, building it up, and getting your first sale. What was that like?
My first sale was a little interesting. It took a few calls to get used to following a script and some of the terminology. Now when I jump on a call, it's easy. I can just talk with the client and we can laugh and joke, and usually they'll go well. But yeah, when I first started, I was always super nervous. I was like, I'm 21, talking to all these CEOs. I'm still a student, want to buy anything of me. Now I'm confident when I'm calls, and they're easy. So my first sale, company in the golfing industry. When I sold them the video, I was a bit shocked at first because I went through the script, told him a bit about us and learned a bit about him. And I was like, yep, this is how much the video is going to cost. And he was like, okay, let's go. Let's do the video. And it took me a minute to kind of realize, oh, yeah, I just got the sale. And I kind of sat there a little shocked. And then I was like, okay, yep, I'll send over the invoice and we'll get started. Yeah, I was definitely surprised at first. I was like, wow, someone's actually spent thousands of dollars on a product that I'm selling.
Yeah, it's always like that as well. Like when you haven't done it yet, you don't have that confidence that it's going to happen yet. So you have to actually kind of just go through the process and believe that it's going to work. And then and even though you're going through the process and you believe it's going to work, you're still surprised once you do get that first sale and it does actually work. It's something that you haven't done before, and you probably found the same thing today, where you're getting big sales. I think that $14,000 sale you got recently, was it kind of a similar feeling for you, getting such a big sale in comparison to that first feeling of your first sale?
Yeah, it's so it's the first sale that I've made that was over 10K. So that was really exciting. And yeah, I was a little surprised because at first I wanted to sell him an explainer video, and then I managed to upsell him this really complex animated video. I didn't really expect it, but I'm glad went for it.
And it's almost like, I think when people just get started with this or any kind of online business model, it always feels like it's complicated. It always feels like there's some kind of crazy tricks or that you need to learn like backflips and stuff in order to get your sales. But at the end of the day, it's a really, really simple process just going through. And like you said, reading the script, going through the process of laying out what they're going to get, what they can use it for, what results they can expect. And then you're surprised when they're like, oh, yep, okay, $1,000. Oh, yep, okay, $10,000. Let's go. And it all just comes down to being able to position yourself and confidently display kind of later on in your development, that you can help them and that you believe you can help them. But even the beginning, when those first sales calls where you're a little bit shy, you're a little bit unsure of yourself, still just going through the process and saying those things, explaining how you can help them, it still leads to them knowing, liking, and trusting you because you've already positioned the fact that they need that service and that you can deliver that service by using those past examples and freelancers and everything that we teach you how to do in the course. So it all just comes down to implementing the course at the end of the day. You don't need to be 100% confident in what you're doing. Nobody is when they get started. You don't need to have all of the testimonials and examples in the world. You don't need to be an expert. Nobody is when they get started. Those are the things you build up over time, because as you go through your journey of building your online business, you are going to get better. You are going to get more experience, skills, and knowledge as you move forward. But you don't need to have a lot of experience, skills, and knowledge. You don't need to be some kind of amazing advanced expert on something to get sales. You're going to get results throughout your journey. It's not going to be like, okay, I'm going to work for 3 years, and then suddenly once I reach the pinnacle of my skills, I'm going to get my sale. You're going to get sales throughout. And those sales are going to get bigger and better, and you're going to get more sales as you implement and learn how to build your business. But it all comes down to repetition at the end of the day, and just making that leap, I think, is the biggest thing. Once people make that leap of actually going out there and putting in the work and taking action, that's the most important part. That's probably like 80% of results. That's what you saw, what a lot of people I've seen build a business see, is that, the process is pretty simple. The difficult part is actually implementing the process and taking action and stopping yourself from procrastinating. So maybe you could talk a little bit more, Jordan, about that process of building your business in those kind of initial stages and what you found difficult. What were some challenges that you had to get over?
There was a lot of things I found difficult. One of them being once I finished the course, I was a little stuck. So I was still making sales, but I wasn't seeing much growth. And that was because I wasn't being as productive because I didn't have the course to go through and the action steps to follow. But one of the things I'll show you. So every day, I try to do it every day. But before I go to sleep, I'll do a to-do list. And I'll just set me up for the next day to make sure I get tasks done. And that was really important for me because I'd do some tasks and then I'd find myself thinking, okay, what do I need to do next? And just having a list like that to go through really helps. So if anyone's finished the course and they're stuck and struggling, I definitely recommend a to-do list. You'll be a lot more productive. And with the course, you have all this information and all these steps, which are great because when I did it, I got through them super quick and I found myself stuck and not being as productive. Yeah, definitely the to-do list will definitely help.
Yeah, for sure, man. I definitely agree with that. And I think one thing is, beyond just that first point that we were mentioning of actually taking action and implementing from the start, is actually going back and being willing to kind of retrack the process as well, go through the process again and relearn it, because you're going to go through the first time when you're learning something and you're going to go through quickly and there's going to be so much information coming in, kind of like a fire hose, trying to drink from a fire hose. And what you need to do is you need to, first of all, realize that you wouldn't have taken in all of the information. There's just so much information in the course, even with the action steps and the way it's practically laid out. You do have to go back through in order to gather all of that information again. But like you said, it's really important to have that structure in place for implementing the information and being willing to actually sit down and write down on a piece of paper, hey, I need to do X, Y, and Z, and reminding yourself you need to do X, Y, and Z. Because what a lot of people do, they just sit there and they think, oh man, I'm not doing as well as I could be doing right now. Okay, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing, rather than actually saying, okay, what do I need to do differently here? Because if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting, right? It's a cliche, but it's so true. You actually need to change something in order to get different results to what you're getting now. So that's a really, really important thing to implement is not just a to-do list, but having that structure on a day-to-day basis. Because with the to-do list, it's awesome if you actually implement it. And a lot of people don't. They write a to-do list and they don't actually take action on those steps. So I think those are two really important points that we covered so far, Jordan, is actually taking action and writing things down and taking action on those things that you write down. And I think that's really cool. So we kind of covered your beginning stages there, Jordan, of starting your business. But maybe you could go through kind of how you went from that first sale to getting where you are now, because I know that you were kind of battling through with the exams and all of that as well. So if you could talk a little bit more about how you were able to kind of structure your day and get to the point where you've been getting a bit more sales and a bit bigger sales, and maybe even talk about finding your business partner and starting a second business. That's interesting as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely get to that. So that's been really fun. So as I said, when I started, I was a student, was at university as a full-time student as well. So I found it quite difficult to balance business, trying to set everything up alongside studying, and especially last month as well when I had all my exams. That was really stressful, but I still managed to get some sales. And that was because I've built a structure and timetable. I'll make sure I follow it most of the time. But yeah, mornings would be university. And then because it's all online now as well, that made it a lot easier. And then after that, I'd focus on the business.
Would you do any kind of like studying at home? You probably had assignments and stuff as well to do. Yeah. So how did you actually structure the work on your business itself? Like how did you plan out what you were going to do on a day-to-day basis?
The to-do list was really helpful because I do my uni work first thing to get out of the way. And then I'd grab my list and see what I had to do. And that just helped me stay focused and make sure that I get the tasks that need doing done.
How long did it take you to get your first sale from the day you joined the course?
I got my first sale really quickly. Got it in I think it was 3 or 4 weeks before signing up for the course, which is great for me because that got my money back straight away.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was able to reinvest in the business and pay for software like Woodpecker and LinkedIn, start focusing on outreach and getting more leads, which got me more sales. And then I just had a knock-on effect. And I was able to keep repeating that cycle and got a lot of sales.
I think that's really, really interesting as well, a really interesting point, because I think a lot of people, when they start their first business, they still have that kind of consumer mindset, right? They think, oh, I have to spend money here. I don't want to spend any money. And they don't realize that it's actually an investment. You're investing in your business to make more money. And it's totally understandable as well when you are a beginner, you're not going to want to spend a lot of money. And we recommend using kind of the free methods to get your first sales, then reinvesting the money from those into the more paid methods of advertising, those sorts of things. But you first need to at least make that jump from a consumer mindset to a business mindset of actually investing money in a revenue generating system. Because what we're building here is a revenue generating system. You actually have to spend money on the things that are going to make you money, spend money on the website even. You can build the website yourself. It's probably going to cost $100, or you can do it even cheaper than that. You can even build a website for free, but you still need to be willing to spend money at some point, right? Because what money does is it accelerates the process. It allows us to get more results faster. So the cool thing about the drop servicing business model is we can spend no money. We can spend $0 and get our first sales. but it's going to mean most likely that it's going to take longer for us to get those first sales. So it makes a lot more sense in terms of, time being money, time equals money, to actually invest some money to save yourself some time and get those first sales faster. And I think that's a really good point that you made there, Jordan, is that, you reinvested that money back into your business, because a lot of people, when they get those first sales, is they still have that consumer mindset. So they spend that money from their business on random things, bottles at the club or something like that. But the best way to do it is to reinvest that money back into your business so you can actually build it into something that's going to be consistent and bringing sales in consistently. And that's a really smart way of doing things. But I guess for you, maybe you can talk a little bit about, Jordan, as well, that process of deciding what to focus on in your business, because there's so much in the course. What did you focus on in terms of where you were putting your money, where you were putting your time when it came to building your business?
Once I got those sales, I put a lot of time into my lead generation. So I was focusing a lot on LinkedIn before they had that big update. That's where I was getting most of my clients. I'd usually get maybe 5 calls a week. So that was working really well for me.
So you're focusing on LinkedIn primarily to get your first sales. That's all you really need to say, I guess, because LinkedIn was working really, really well. Is LinkedIn still working really well for you at the moment?
No, I even cancelled my Duck Soup subscription.
Oh, wow.
I'm just focusing on emails now. It's a little more difficult because you need to get those open rates, but yeah, the emails now.
Yeah, that's really cool. So I think what we could talk about now is actually you're kind of transitioning a bit as well, because you've got the animated video business and it's running really well for you. You've got sales coming consistently, and it sounds like you've automated that a bit. Are you gonna keep automating it more, or have you hired some people?
Yes, I haven't hired anyone yet. This year, I'm definitely planning on bringing a project manager on board to handle the projects and talk with the clients. And then I also want to get some VAs to do the lead generations. Then that will be automated and I can focus on the second business.
Yeah, it's really awesome once you get to that point, and kind of crazy. Like you'll get a bit bored for a while and you'll find yourself just, sitting around playing video games or watching movies or something, or partying a little bit too much, which is what happened to me when I automated my first business. But yeah, man, it's really awesome that you jumped right into a second business and you've got a business partner for that from the course as well. So maybe talk us a little bit about that process of, meeting him and deciding to start a business together. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's been really exciting. I definitely wouldn't have been able to do it on my own. So having a business partner has been really helpful. Yeah, I'm sure some of you have seen Stephen in the group, Stephen Harvey. We were doing quite well making sales, and sometimes we'd message each other and say, hey, how's your week going? How many sales have you got? And he came to me and was talking about Facebook advertising and starting a digital marketing company. And he was really excited about that. He didn't have the time because he was also running the animation business. And then I had one as well. So I couldn't go off and start my own one. And we just came up with the idea to do it together. So yeah, that's been really exciting, really fun as well, having someone to do it with you. It's also been really good as well because we've noticed to do things quicker. So we'll give each other tasks, and it's been a really good experience.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I think having a business partner is really cool when you can find someone that you get along with well, and you kind of do different things well as well. So you can kind of split up the tasks. And that way you end up getting a lot more done a lot faster, and you create a lot more value in the process. So your business ends up just making more in general, from what I found. And another interesting thing about it as well is, with drop servicing, we have so many services to choose from. So we can set up one business like you've done here, like the animated video business, and you can automate that with a lead generator and a project manager. You can keep doing the sales calls like you're probably going to do, Jordan, of course, because they're pretty short, like 15 minutes or whatever it may be, and probably 5 to 10 calls a week or whatever. So that's not too bad. But you can even automate it eventually. I remember I've probably said it a few times now, but man, back before I automated sales calls, I was doing calls in like restaurants and airports and sometimes even in a bar or something and on a beach. And one time I even did a sales call in Disneyland, which was kind of weird. So you end up doing calls in all kinds of weird places. You don't automate that. But yeah, it's really cool how you can automate one service and you can just have that machine kind of running and bringing in a good amount. Maybe it's not going to be $1 million business or anything because you're not focusing on it, but bringing in a good amount of passive income essentially. And then focusing on the secondary business, we can get a second income flow going in a completely different service. So you can kind of essentially have 2 different businesses, and it's kind of like diversifying your portfolio of businesses in a way. And the thing with that is that it allows you to create multiple revenue streams where one won't really be affected by the other. The only thing is being able to kind of divide up your time and your focus on those different businesses. But when you have a business partner, it's usually a lot easier to do that. And I think that's a really smart way of doing things. So I really look forward to seeing how that progresses as you move forward. And really, really awesome how automated your business is getting at the moment. You've built a lot of systems. And once you hire the project manager and the lead generator, you'll be pretty much good to go. So
yeah, and the good thing about having two as well is I've been able to use the money I get from the animation business and I've been able to invest it into the other one and pay for things like software, things like that. So it's kind of helped me skip the process of doing the free outreach methods and I can just go straight to the paid ones. And we've been able to be successful faster.
Yeah. So what stage are you at with that Facebook ads agency at the moment?
So we're just building our team. So we've got a good media buyer to handle the delivery of the service. And he's really good. He's got some great case studies and we think he's going to do really well. And then we're also bringing on some VAs for our lead generation and bringing in some clients and book meetings for us. So we're just testing out this month and hopefully everything will go well.
Awesome. It's really exciting. And it's really cool as well because, once you start bringing in those clients, it will be kind of a recurring service as well, of course. So you have them on retainer and then you also have a project-based business as well. So you kind of have the high volume of sales coming through the project-based business, which is animated videos, and then kind of the retainer business will have that kind of recurring income coming. So it's kind of cool to have both of those as well. And you can even end up cross-selling the services between the different companies and add more services on as you move forward. And that will really help you build it up even more and scale both together in a way. So that's really exciting. Yeah, man. So I think the last thing we can really cover here, I think we covered pretty much your entire journey at this point. Maybe you could talk a little bit about kind of words of wisdom that you have or words of inspiration for the people watching.
Some key things, definitely follow the course and take those action steps. Don't try and skip ahead or think this isn't important. I don't need to do this because that's going to make things more difficult when you get further into the course. Because you need to have that foundation there to be successful. So definitely make sure you're following the course and the action steps because that's really important. Make sure you're managing your time well. There's some days where I was super productive and I was getting everything done. And then there's days where you don't want to do any work and you just sit at your laptop, which is why I have my lists. People can use other methods, but I found lists are really good. So yeah, just make sure you're managing your time. You're spending that time to be productive because like Dylan said, time's money.
Yeah. You don't want to end up like just wasting time on shiny object syndrome or getting distracted by things that don't really matter. You just want to focus on the things that are going to get you results first and foremost, which is creating offers and then putting those offers out into the market. And like you were saying, building this new Facebook ad agency, focusing on finding freelancers with case studies, because maybe for those of you watching, you don't know, with drop servicing, we really focus on finding the best freelancers that have good case studies or good examples of their work that we can kind of use to sell to clients, because your past work is your best tool for getting new sales from new clients, actually showing them that, you can do good work with your past work. Your past work is already a good indicator of your future work. And when you have past work from freelancers, you're kind of skipping all of the effort and work of having to build your own work in case studies as well. So that enables you to get sales a lot faster, and focusing on building your offers around your case studies and your past work will allow you to get sales a lot faster. And I think that, Jordan, you've really focused on the most important things in your business. You focused on implementing the steps, being structured. And even while full-time studying and going through exams, you were still getting sales. And now you're getting big sales like that $14,000 sale. So I look forward to seeing what you're able to do in the new business and with this current business once it gets fully automated as well. You'll probably be on a beach somewhere or something. And yeah, man, I look forward to doing the next call with you. So thanks so much for the interview today. Everyone have a good one, and we'll talk to you soon.